guys, welcome to the BG Experience. I am Eve Kibari. Last time we talked about how I got into this situation. I am visually impaired and it was a long journey, so please hook yourself up with that episode and then you can catch up with us. Today we're going to talk about how the healthcare system is just a mess. It is a mess. And I'm not insulting career people, or I'm not insulting the medical practitioners. I think the system it doesn't work for the common man. And we always say, or I've seen people saying, and I agree with them, that we are one illness away from being broke. And that happened to me. So when I started feeling sick, when I had headaches, when I had problems with my eyesight, or even just normal discomfort within the body system, I never feel like I have the urge to go or run to a hospital, because I've had experiences, just small time outpatient experiences, where you go in and you use around even 5,000, 10,000 that you didn't even have because you need to take care of your body. And every time you feel ill, you're like, let me sleep it off, tomorrow I'll be okay. Because you're not thinking you don't like yourself or you don't want to take care of yourself. It's because of the implications, of the financial implications it brings upon you. So you find most people in the middle, lower, middle, upper, just people are not inclined into running into hospitals or even healthcare facilities when they have problems, until when the problem becomes an emergency. That's when you have to really go to the hospital. Why? Because it's expensive, it's financial, it's just financially frustrating. And that's why you find most people, when they get ill, they have to ask for help. And people are not very proud to ask for help. Even, let's say you have cancer, you have diabetes, you have kidney failure, you have even, sometimes it's just hospitalization for anything, a growth, dislocation of a limb. And you find yourself asking for help, and it's not something you're proud of, but you've reached a point where you're looking at your financial status and you're thinking, I'm not able to take care of this situation by myself. And that shouldn't be the case. So it frustrates you and as a person, and you find yourself always postponing or procrastinating going to visit a healthcare facility. I did the same thing. When I'm sure, and most people come back later and tell me, why didn't you go to the hospital before? And I'm like, because at that point in time, it was not an emergency. And they're like, oh, but you need to take care of yourself. I'm like, I do take care of myself. That's why I didn't go immediately, because I thought I was okay. And until it was an emergency, that's when I thought I should go. Because our system does not take care of us. Yes, you have an HIF, but the outpatient does not, it's just not viable sometimes, because you could get sick and you're not even close to your healthcare facility. So the financial implications just make you want to postpone, and you keep postponing and postponing until it got to a critical point where I finally had to go to hospital. And I went to the first hospital, and I went to the second hospital. I went to St. Francis. Then I went to, what is it called? Forgotten. I went to a different hospital near my home. Then I went to Equity Afya. And then finally I went to Kenyatta. And then I was referred from private to public to general. And that's when I was admitted. It took 2 weeks. Actually, it took more than 6 weeks to get to the bottom of what was wrong with me. So when I went to Kenyatta and I'm being told I have to be admitted, my first fear was not, oh my God, admission. No, it's, oh my God, who's going to pay for this? Or how am I going to even do this? Because I was in prime care, Kenyatta prime care, and they tell me I have to come up with 50,000 Kenya shillings for me to be admitted. And at that point, in my M-Pesa, I have 939 Kenya shillings. I'm like, wow. And I've spent money, all the money that I had in the three previous hospitals that I'd been going to. And then now I'm here and I'm thinking, okay, so you've said 50,000, I have 939. How is that going to match up to each other? And then I know my mom is not employed. She's the caregiver of my grandmother. And I'm thinking, my sister, I don't think she was ready for this, because we've already spent like already 7,000 from her pocket. So what am I going to do? And he says, it's either that or you go to general, and general is a bit cheaper. But even general, you need money, because that first day, even before I went into, like I went to my bed, now fully admitted, we spent around almost 15,000 Kenya shillings for CT scan, for blood tests, for medicine, for painkiller medicine. And then when I was at casualty, it's just a mess. Everyone is there and it's an emergency. But now the way it's laid out is there are people who are more emergency than you, and you don't know how they're rating. And now for me, I was okay. The same way I look now is the same way I looked then, but I was having very horrible headaches. So you find that even that system doesn't cater for you, because you don't have the money to go for prime care. You don't have the money to go to a private hospital, and you are in distress, and your distress is not outwardly physical, it's inwardly. So you're in pain inside, but you look very normal outside. But there's somebody whose hand is dislocated, there's somebody who looks like they're dying. So you're not an emergency. Until they get to you, they give in codes of red, yellow, I think red, yellow, orange, and I don't know, green. I'm not sure of how that was working. So before they get to you, you could be the next day, because you're seated there and an emergency comes in, someone who's more critical than you. So before you get there, you could actually die there, because you don't look as critical as that person who's just walked in and their blood is all over the place. So when you think about the healthcare system and how sometimes it's just doom, even before it's doomsday. So first of all, it's the financial implication, then the system itself. Being admitted in Kenyatta was a nightmare. It's not because the people are just a nightmare. It's just, I think the system is set up in a way that it makes even the people who work there a nightmare. I'll talk about being admitted and the nurses. During the day, you can get care, but it's only when your people are there. I had to, and mine happened during COVID season, when you're not allowed to have any person visit you. So you're sick, you're in critical condition, that's why you're admitted, but you're being told your people cannot come see you until they're called by the doctor. And at what point will they even know that they need to come? You get. They are underemployed. The people who are the caregivers, they're less. So in our ward 8D, we were about 90 patients, and I could say there was a total, from what I could count, there were a total of like 10 to 12 nurses, and each nurse is doing a different, they have selected wards they're supposed to work in. So let's say in that ward of 90 people, there are 30 people who need oxygen and who need someone to be there for them all the time. And then the funny thing is, one day you are okay, you're seated, you could do your own thing. The next day you are in critical condition, because that's what happened to me. And when you're in that critical condition, which nurse has available time for them to actually come and sit down with you and give you food? No. So you need someone from home, or you need someone to take care of you from home. So it just makes it hard for you as a patient, and also hard for the people around you to even take care of you, because COVID has said, no, you can't have visitors. But in that process, you're in a critical condition, you feel like you're dying, you haven't had food because you're not able to sit up and eat your food. Therefore, you need somebody to come in and help you feed. Or you need someone to come in and take you to the toilet. Or you need someone to come in and help you move around, So you've been admitted and you're told you can't call your people. Then you are in that critical condition. Therefore, the doctor comes in the next day and tells you, why didn't you walk? And you're looking at the doctor like, I didn't walk because I had no one to walk me. The nurses don't even have enough time for themselves. Therefore, how will they have enough time to even walk you? And how many patients do they need to walk? So it's helter-skelter. You feel literally like there's no outlet. You're not getting better. You actually feel like you're getting worse. They can, sometimes even when you're in pain, before you get a painkiller, it can be 2 hours later. And I would want to blame them. I'd want to blame the nurses, but they're overwhelmed. There are few people in the same ward taking care of a lot of patients, and all of them have different problems. Food is brought, it's put right next to you. You can't feed. Maybe that day you're totally like, there was a point I was literally I had lost mobility in all ways. I could not sit up. I could not walk. I could not hold a plate. So I needed someone to do that, to help me do that, to feed. And sometimes when you're put on a tube, it takes so much time. And there's no one to check up on, have you fed? Is it working? You know, they'll put in the tubes and everything and then they leave. So by the time someone else is coming back to check up on you, your thing probably either didn't go through. And I know there's somebody probably who died of like she came in and she was okay in a way, but by the end of the week she'd lost so much weight because she hadn't eaten. And she's not in a position to talk for herself because every day she's losing strength. By the time it's the 4th day, she's not able to even describe what she's going through. And you see, the nurses are so overwhelmed with work, they don't have the patience, neither do they have the time to look into this patient why she's falling apart. By the end of the week, the 2nd week, she was bones. And that's just one person. Then there were other 2 patients who I think they had schizophrenia. So they are not in sound mind. So they will fight. There's one who believed she was being burnt. Her legs were being burnt. So she would just wake up in the middle of the night and start running around the ward. And they would talk to her like she's doing it purposely. And I'm thinking, but you are medical practitioners. How are you not able to handle her in her mental condition? But then you realize that the system has set them up to be so, I don't know, inhuman, where they look at you as a specimen more than as a person, as a human being. And so many things like those help you, or not, they don't help you, they make you become worse. You're in your bed struggling to get better, but then you hear the things that are going on around you, they make you disheartened. Someone else is being told early in the morning, oh yeah, I think she's been there for like 2 or 3 months. Then one morning she's been vacated. She's been told, oh, you have to move to this ward. And she's like, why? And that ward is known for cancer patients. And she's like, why are you moving me to that ward? And I know that ward is for cancer patients. She's like, who told you? Like, I know I worked here before and I know that is what the word is. Like, oh, stop thinking, like, stop jumping into conclusions. She's like, no, I just need you to tell me why you're moving me and why you're moving me now. And how come I was not told about this earlier? And then she's like, do I have cancer? Then she said, oh, has your doctor talked to you? How come they've not told you? Then she immediately knew she had cancer. And I think from that point forward, she just lost, like she felt, I noticed she just lost it. She lost hope. She stopped talking. She stopped being who she was. And I think eventually she ended up, I think it just triggered dementia for her. Therefore, she was just stopped being the same person she used to be before. And such things, even if you are in your right mind, you are in your right health, it will throw you back 50 yards behind. So I feel like the system is overwhelmed, and the only people who get to enjoy the services are either people who are rich or people who are the board of governance, the Ministry of Health. The people who are at the top are the ones who benefit from this. But the common man is not able to, like, survive through this like it's just a messed up healthcare system. And whenever I think about it, and I think sometimes why it took so long for even me to be okay with my situation is because of just the way things are set up. People talk to you like you wanted to be sick. People treat you like like you wanted to pee on yourself or puke on yourself. And you're thinking, I'm sick. 5 weeks ago, I was cooking my own food. I was running my own show. And now I am in this sick bed and I'm trying to just survive. But someone comes and yells at you because you puked on your clothes and you puked on the beddings, and they're like, oh, so you puked on your beddings. Sasa unadhani hizi zitatoka wapi na hakuna kwa nini kwa store? And you're like, I'm a sane human being. It happened. And that breaks you down. That makes you feel like less of a human being. And the people in that system it's been made so bad for them that they make it so bad for the patient. And therefore you feel like you'd rather not ever go to hospital. Like it reached a point I was like, if I'm ever sick, I don't think I would want to go back to be admitted in hospital. I would rather just die in the house and that's it. That's my final. Than being taken to hospital to be treated like that. Instead of you getting better, you even get depressed because you hear someone shouting at you because you peed on yourself. Because at that point, as you're trying to get out of bed, your pee just came and you didn't have strength and you didn't have time, and everything becomes so hard. So it just breaks my heart to even just fathom that this is happening to us. And when the people went to the streets, I remember there was a time where the doctors and the nurses went to the streets to strike because they do not have the equipment, neither do they have they don't have the manpower, and they don't have the tools to make their job efficient. Therefore, they become so hardened that they do not handle you with passion of their job. They just handle you as one project or one thing that I have to do to get my job done. You're not a human being, you're a thing. You're this person. In fact, you'd hear them say, like when someone has died, they say there's a body on bed 9, and you're like, that's a human being who just passed on a few hours ago. How do you just call that person a body? Or they say bed 9, kuna mtu amesusu. You're like, that's someone. And because you're in that ward with those people, that's Shiro, and that's happened because she has been in pain for 3 days and she's not able to move. You know them on a personal level, but the way you're being treated by the nurses, you feel like you've just become a specimen. You are bed 8 or bed 9, or that lady who is like the way they treat the schizophrenic patients, ule mwenda wazimu wa wards. And you're like, no, you can't, it just can't be like that. But because that's how they are able to survive the day, that's how they're able to do their jobs, because at the end of the day, the bottom line is getting their salaries. The bottom line is getting this job done so that they can go home and take care of their own. The bottom line is, what do I get from this? I need money to survive. So you stop being a person because the system is so hardened. You become a specimen because at the end of the day, they can't get attached to you because they need to get their jobs done. And even if you had the whole spirit of wanting to do this for a better purpose, you end up not doing it for a better purpose because the system has not facilitated you the right tools to do your job in an efficient way. And henceforth, I think visiting the sick is such an important role. And despite COVID, I think the system just needs to cater for that, especially in public hospitals, because there's so many things, so many corners, so many things that are going wrong, and they should be going right. And we pay taxes. But just because people are too greedy to realize that the common man needs to be taken care of, you forget that you're just one sickness, one illness away from being broke, and you need to be more empathetic on it. And we should really think about it and see how like we can make the system work better for us, because majority of Kenyans are the common mwananchi. It's not the rich folks. So how do we make the system work for all of us? How do you make even those nurses who work with you work in better working conditions so that they can treat your patient better? How do you make that cleaner who wipes up and does the things, the nitty-gritties that you cannot do, work in a better way, given a better pay so that they're able to treat you better when you're sick? How do we make this work better for all of us? Because if they're paid well, if they're hired after they've gone to school, if there are enough nurses to work in the hospital, if there are enough cleaners, if there are enough doctors to take care of your issue, therefore it will not take a whole entire month, or it will not take a whole entire year for someone to tell you that you have cancer. It doesn't need to be like that. So it's just a hard system that we really need to think about it. And when the doctors and the nurses strike, next time you need to ask yourself, why are they doing this? Because tomorrow it could be you in their care, and you will complain about how mean they've become. But it's not a generational thing. It's a system thing. The system is screwed up, and we need to make it better for all of us, so that when you go to hospital, when this happens to you, you're not feeling like you need to die at home. You need to just go check up what's wrong with your body, and not fear because you're afraid you will not afford it, or you're afraid you'll be mistreated, or you're afraid that you will not even find a bed to sleep on. You as an individual, you might never think that you'll be in this situation. You'll never think that, oh, I'll ever be admitted, because there are people who live and die without being admitted in hospital. But if your person is admitted, if someone you care about is admitted, you'd want them to be treated in a fine way. You would want them to be cared for, because the idea is they're in pain, they're in distress, and you'd want them to get better as soon as possible so that they can get back to their lives. Being visually impaired and being admitted is not also an interesting aspect, but people were nice, and I survived it. So there's more to talk about on this side of life, and I'd want you to still join me for the next other episodes, and we relearn and learn new things about life, and just common things we might have taken for granted before, but now we need to we really need to think about them. And I would love you to join me. So like, share, subscribe, and join me for other episodes of BG Experience, meaning the Blind Girl Experience. So yeah, and if you have comments, please comment. Please tell me what you think about this, and what you're learning from this, and what you think what your ideas are. And yeah, we can all join me in this journey. It's gonna be a long journey. It's a forever journey, but I'm willing to share. So yeah, bye for now. Join me later. Ciao.